Today, we're not going to be talking about anime. I know, a shock, right? But today we're going to talk about the top 20 sitcoms ever.
Sensational.
So we're not going to be basing this list off pointless nostalgia or how iconic a series is, but basically how rewatchable is the show, how funny is it, what is the cast like? Those are the 3 criteria that we're going to use today. Also, if I haven't seen the show, it won't be on the list. So if there are any shows that I haven't seen or that you feel should have been up on the list that I didn't include, please let me know in the comment section. But right now, we got to get into our list of the top 20 best sitcoms ever made. And here we go. At number 20, we're gonna have the Steve Harvey Show. That was a funny show back in the 2000s. I mean, I was watching that every single week. I enjoyed, Steve Harvey and his fake hair. Back in the day, I didn't even know it was fake. But I still remember thinking to myself, he better fight that barber. That hair looking bad. Oh, so y'all just want to cut the music on somebody. Alright, well I hope y'all running up them likes. Hopefully y'all interacting with all them buttons. And y'all are subscribed to both the YouTube and the TikTok page. Let's not forget about those huge lips and double-breasted suits. Yeah, this man had on them double-breasted suits like he was a Marine in One Piece, man. This dude really thought he was Garp. Honestly, over the years, everybody was always saying that Steve Harvey looked like Mr. Potato Head. And I gotta say, I definitely see it. Moving on though, I gotta say, the cast had some good chemistry. And when it came to the relationship with Steve and the principal, had its funny moments. And Cedric being, the gym teacher, Bullethead, and Romeo. And even though it was a blatant ripoff of Hanging with Mr. Cooper, I still felt that everybody, worked cohesively well in that show. I felt at the time that it was out. And even though it was enjoyable, it still was not as good as the other 19 shows that we have coming up on this list. So, at number 19, we have Kim's Convenience. The dad in that show, Mr. Kim, made the whole show funny. Him alone was hilarious. The accent, the way he would say, stopper, and the way that, he would interact with everyone, he himself was the show. He hard carried that show. Nobody else on that show was even funny. Not Shang-Chi, not even the main girl Janet or the mother. They all were just side characters that really meant nothing. Mr. Kim carried that show on his own. Brooklyn Nine-Nine fills our number 18 spot. Now, that was a funny show, but it was also kind of annoying. Like, Andy Samberg has a weird way of being funny, but also being annoying. I did appreciate the fact that it was a comedic take on the police drama genre. I love Charles. I thought Terry Crews was funny. The captain was great. Rosa was also funny. Amy had her moments. But the whole thing is the cast did work well together in spite of the annoyingness that sometimes came from Andy Samberg. But overall, it was an enjoyable show. For number 17 and 16, I gotta stand on business here. This is gonna make a lot of people mad, and y'all gonna say later, this is funnier than this? Oh my god, I'm so upset. But I gotta put your boy Martin in the number 17 slot. Honestly, I did not find that show as funny as so many people do. I know that y'all gonna want my black card, but I mean,
he's been excommunicated from the black community.
Whoa, now, whoa, I'm in the black community still.
No, you're not.
Come on.
You've been excommunicated.
Stop it, nah, it's big, no.
You've been excommunicated. Men who are not loyal to the black community, we kick them out.
He don't even want to give you a hug.
He's going to get some paperwork in the mail that lets him know we're snatching his melanin.
Whoa, no, I'm black. I'm black.
Martin was always trying so hard to be funny. Like, it was so hard. Like, I did like when he was Dragonfly Jones. I liked it, when he played his mom. Some of the scenarios and things that they came up with, I mean, it was funny, but it wasn't that funny to me. Like, not the way that it's regarded. Don't get me wrong, Martin's characters were funny. And don't get me wrong, Martin had his funny moments, but Martin really wasn't that funny. And I don't want to hear all this stuff about, well, he's really a shy person. If you're on my TV to be funny, you gotta be funny. Cole was stupid funny. Tommy had his funny moments. Pam was hilarious. And Gina was just terrible. And now that we're on the topic of Gina, like, she really did not even need to be up in the show. I did not like Gina as the main love interest for Martin. I really feel like the show would have been infinitely better if Pam was the main love interest. And that would have made the show infinitely more funnier. And let's also talk about this too. Gina was not as fly as people were trying to make her out to be. We all know that the eye candy of the show was Pam. And that in in this situation, light wasn't always right. So I gotta say, this show could have been done a whole lot better, and even though it is iconic and it was important to the culture, it really wasn't that great of a show in my opinion, and that's why it's sitting at number 17. Now the last thing that I'm going to say about Martin is that when it comes to this show, the second opening for this show was one of the worst openings of all time. Like, look at this thing. Who was this even made for? I mean, I'd rather watch a full episode of Moesha or a full episode of Friends or possibly 2 minutes of the Marvels movie rather than watch this opening ever happen again. This literally is cancerous to my eyes. I mean, look at this. Really look at it. This is a cursed image. This is one of the worst CGIs ever produced. And unironically, even today we have CGI that surprisingly is still just as cursed as this CGI was. Again, I don't know who thought that this was a good idea, who greenlit this, but this was definitely not the move. Especially when you already had a banger on your hands. We had a great Martin theme. There was nothing wrong with the original. Why did they decide to do this CGI monstrosity? The worst part is you got it out here dancing. That is not dancing. This is dancing. If CGI Martin was doing these moves, it would have saved the whole opening. Now, if you weren't mad enough, wait till you hear about number 16. Again, not sorry, but you know what it is. It's Seinfeld. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. Although it is iconic, when it comes to this show, it really wasn't that funny. It was written very well. The scenarios were great, but as far as the cast of people who were playing on the show, I've never found Jerry Seinfeld to be very funny. Sounds like all of his comedy is based off just asking the question of, what's the deal with this? What's the deal with that? I really have never found him to be funny like that. Also, Elaine. She was never funny. How is she even still famous? She has never done anything that's even made me breathe hard through my nose. Like, she is not funny at all. As far as the MVP of the show though, I gotta give it to my boy George Costanza. He was so funny, and he basically was the only reason that I would even watch the show again at any time, because he himself was very funny. And Kramer had his moments, but outside of George Costanza and some of the other side characters and the guest characters that would come on or the show itself, the way that it was written by Larry David, it only had two good elements. One good character and good writing is not enough to make a show, even a show as iconic as this one, rise high up on my list. But as for number 15, mainly because these next two shows that come up, mainly because I've worked in these two areas so I can relate to these shows. But as for number 15, being Superstore. Now, I've worked in retail, work in supermarkets. You know, I can see the weird little side behaviors that people do are hilarious to me. Working in that environment, seeing the politicking of it, how managers are, how corporate treats the employees, all that is hilarious because I've dealt with that and, deal with it to a certain degree now. The relatability factor of Superstore really sells the show for me. And I also thought that the characters were funny. Not the main guy or even his love interest, but everyone besides them two, I thought were, very well cast and well characterized. Abbot Elementary, I'm gonna put that at number 14. I find the show funny. I think that it was, hilarious. I worked in a school and I dealt with kids with special needs, and, I seen what the teachers go to. I seen how the district treats underprivileged or schools that aren't in affluent areas. So all of that hits home for me, and it's hilarious to see along with the drama. And my boy from Everybody Hates Chris is up in there, so shout outs to him. And Mr. Johnson is hilarious, man. I love that custodial guy because I was also a custodian at one time in the schools as well. Also, shout outs to the principal, Ava. She gets a lot of character development as well. She's a W character too. I enjoy her as well. But the rest of the cast is just fine. They work really well together. W show. I do enjoy Abbott Elementary. Alright, and at number 13, we have The Big Bang Theory. Now, I watched every single episode of The Big Bang Theory. I love the whole science nerd, scientist stick that they had going there. Sheldon is hilarious to me. I liked Raj. I loved Howard. Howard was low-key my favorite character in the show. Even though, he was down bad, he was hilarious. Even the way that things developed, Amy joining the cast and Howard's wife, it was all, I thought, done pretty well. And I enjoyed the show. And the highbrow humor, definitely, some of the scientific jokes and things, definitely I wasn't lost on it. Maybe because I'm a little geeky and nerdy at heart, it struck a chord with me. Now at number 12, this show I'm only putting here because it was canceled before its time, but I thought that they did did an excellent job writing it, and I thought it was very funny. The Carmichael Show was hilarious to me. I thought that it was really good. The whole cast was funny. Everybody on that show was good, but it was canceled. We only got like 2 seasons of it, and then it was canceled like super quick. So because of its brevity, I didn't think that it was really great. It could have been better, had it lasted longer, but it stopped. Now we get up into number 11. I'm gonna put the Parkers, and y'all might be saying, oh yeah, the Parkers, yeah, I remember, she was on Moesha. Moesha was trash. It left on a cliffhanger. We never even knew if they even found the boy. Miles was like missing forever. He is one of those black kids that is lost in the system. They never even looked for him. The Parkers though, it was funny, and I'm gonna be honest, it was funny because they was fat. It was also funny because you had a mom and a daughter in junior college, and they had this running joke where the mom, Monique, would sexually harass Professor Ogilvy. And even to this day, that still makes me laugh. I can't defend it, it's just funny. And I can still watch it today and laugh. But I felt like Monique and Kim did a really good job, and they were a convincing mother and daughter comedic duo. Now, this next show that we're going to talk about is a comedic hidden gem, I feel. This show is called Detroiters. It came out in 2017 and starred Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson. Both these guys were super funny. A lot of you may know Tim Robinson. He also has a hit comedy sketch show on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave, and he himself, he is so funny, but it's like an awkward, abrasive funny. I'm struggling to find another adjective to describe how hilarious this guy is, and I'm sure I've said hilarious like a billion times on this list already. But these two guys, they were an unexpected comedic comedy duo that really worked well. I really enjoyed this show. Only thing that I didn't like is that it only had 2 seasons, just like the Carmichael Show. Good show, but only 2 seasons. I can't put it any higher than this. But before we go any further on this list, please interact with all the buttons on your screen. It helps the channel out a lot. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow on both the TikTok and the YouTube page, please. And now at number 9 would have to be Everybody Loves Raymond. I grew up on this show, and this show is the best depiction of what married life is like if you're Italian. I felt like that was like a super real family drama. It was funny. I mean, Robert was amazing. I loved Frank and Marie. Everybody was really super funny except for the actual couple that it was centered on. I don't feel like Deborah and Ray were hilarious. I wasn't holding my sides. But the extended family, and having an extended family that lives in the same general area as me, I can definitely relate. Now that I'm an adult, I look back on it and I said, this is very accurate. Then at number 8, we're going to put the Wayans Brothers. Now, Wayans Brothers was hilarious, man. And I think what made it more hilarious is that when I was growing up, my parents did not want me to watch that show. So, sneaking and watching it, that was great. I mean, I loved it. I thought that Marlon and his brother Sean felt like they were so funny. And the fact that they were actually brothers in real life made it even funnier. I don't know what it is about having a brother or brothers interacting with each other that is just so funny. It's like a natural comedic chemistry that most brothers just instinctively have with each other. I felt like that only enhanced the show even more. This comedic duo peaked and hit perfection in the American classic White Chicks. I mean, that is a classic movie, always funny. Sean and Marlon, hilarious. Terry Crews was born from this film. This really put him on the map. I mean, White Chicks was just amazing, but it all started with the Wayans Brothers. And lastly, let's talk about our guy Pops. He was a comedic genius when it came to this show. We loved him in Fridays, we loved him in the Boondocks, but in this show, he fits so well. And I can't believe that the executives felt that he was too dumb for the show, too ghetto, he wouldn't have worked, because he worked perfectly. He played off Sean and Marlon and the chemistry with the other characters so well. John Witherspoon is definitely a GOAT out here. That's why he's the GOAT! R.I.P. to him, but we definitely enjoyed Pops, especially when he would dance in the show. That was hilarious. And then at number 7, I gotta give it to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. These people, this is what I think Seinfeld wanted to be, but it never actually became. And that might be slander to some of you Seinfeld fans, but I'm gonna just call it like it is. Always Sunny in Philadelphia was way funnier because these people they had a failing bar and they were degenerates. They made some of the worst choices. Things always spiraled out of control and ruined lives. Charlie and the whole gang, they ruined people's lives, and it was hilarious to watch them do so. And the amount of uncomfortable situations that they would find themselves in, all hilarious to me. Now, as far as another show that is critically acclaimed, I feel The Office. Everything before Michael left The Office was amazing. Steve Carell carried that show. His synergy with Dwight and with Jim Halpert. I mean, the whole office, if you've ever worked in an office, you could relate so well to this show. And I just felt like the comedy was spot on until Michael left. When they brought in D'Angelo, even when Andy became the boss and they had that British lady, and I mean, you know, all these other bosses, none of them could touch Michael Scott. Michael Scott is forever the funniest, best boss that there possibly could be. But a show that I felt that was funnier than The Office, although it did not start out well. The first season is rough to get through. We have Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec from season 2 all the way to the end, hilarious. There's not an episode of Parks and Rec that I did not laugh at. At number 4, we have Curb Your Enthusiasm. I thought that this show was hilarious. Now this guy, Larry David, he's the one who wrote Seinfeld, and I felt like his show, more often than not, was hilarious. Every single time he would get himself into these situations that were just beyond funny. And the thing that was the best about this was that everybody would try to warn him, they try to help him, and he would do it to himself. He was so funny in this show. And he was like simultaneously the main character. He was playing himself in real life, but he was also the villain of the show. Excellent comedic delivery. I felt all the characters were good. Again, he wrote Seinfeld. I mean, this man gets himself into so much trouble, and that's the beauty of it. He gets himself into trouble most of the time, the things that he says. Not to mention, the cast was also perfect. Everyone complimented Larry David in that show so well. This is really what Seinfeld should have been, but the only difference was that Larry David is actually funny, which is why I like it so much more and enjoyed it so much more than Seinfeld. Lastly, I'm gonna say the comedic pairing of JB Smoove and Larry David was a chef's kiss. It was perfect, and it was super unlikely, and I was really glad that I got to witness that. Those two worked really well together, along with the rest of the cast. It was just perfect.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Now, a show that I liked even more than that would have to be Now, Everybody Hates Chris, that's a show I could watch today. I could watch all the seasons today and I would still be laughing. It's still hilarious to me. I thought that it was perfect. You know, even when he went to school, all that was relatable. What really made this show great was the cast. The way that the kids interact with the parents. Almost every black person alive could relate to this. I mean, this was the quintessential show, showing what it was like being a kid growing up in a black family. They didn't have all this money, but sometimes they did. They had to do chores, they had to get little jobs. The dad was cheap, the mom was always yelling, things were always borderline abusive, you know, just normal stuff being in a black family. And it was hilarious to see it and see Chris Rock get into trouble and deal with the situations that he did growing up. Honestly, I had a really tough time between, you know, number 3 and number 2. They're really interchangeable, but number 3 officially is Everybody Hates Chris, but number 2 is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The interactions with Uncle Phil, Jeffrey was the king of roasting. Carlton was great. I felt his character, you know, and the whole fact, you know, people try to give him a hard time because he spoke proper and he didn't fit the black stereotype. I thought he was amazing in his role. I thought that he did great. And then you have a classic dance, the Carlton dance, that came from there. So that was another amazing show. Then we got to address the elephant in the room. As far as Aunt Viv, everybody knows Black Aunt Viv was the best Aunt Viv that there was. She was powerful. She was funny. She had class. She was really cool. I really like the original Aunt Viv. But as far as the second Aunt Viv that we got, she really did nothing. They toned her down. I felt like the original Aunt Viv was too powerful, too progressive for the 90s at that time, and they was like, yo, we got to get rid of her. But as for the second Aunt Viv, again, she did nothing. She added nothing to the show. And speaking to the actual character, not the actress, only thing I can say to you is,
you serve zero purpose.
So before we get into our number 1 spot, just going to quickly talk about our honorable mentions, which are the Jamie Foxx Show, the Bernie Mac Show, and One on One. Not going to go into any detail, but all these shows were W shows and almost made the list. None of these shows are funnier than our number 1 spot. And I know there's going to be a lot of hate coming for me in the comments, and I welcome it. Because number 1, you know what it is. Say it with me. My eyes are getting weary. My back is getting tight. I'm sitting here in traffic on the Queensboro Bridge tonight. You already know what it is. It is the King of Queens. First of all, the intro, certified banger. Doug, chatted. Arthur, goated. Carrie, the best. Best girl. I mean, the three of them on their own, you didn't even need any other characters. That's how good their chemistry was. There were other characters. I mean, you had Deacon, and Spence was great. Spence was hilarious. Also, the show was so relatable. Like, you could watch that show and just immediately insert yourself or someone in your life into this show. It is so great. Kevin James, that was his W show. I haven't liked anything that he's done since, but that show right there, that was a winner. Alright, so that's our list. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of this list, what shows should have been included that weren't. Let me know what shows would have made your top 20 list. Make sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.